All right. Huh. Wait. Oh. Oh, we're here. All right. So it is Tuesday. It is what, 7:47? Ooh, like a jet plane. We have just landed. And Samsung has confirmed from South Korea the S8 lineup will be introduced on the 8th along with the S22. This has been affirmed by PocketLint.com, who published it just recently. So it seems like the S8 Ultra is coming down the line. In addition to like the S22 lineup. So Samsung's looking at a stellar year. Pin this together with the fact that they are working diligently on filling the voids left by, I will say, a nameless Chinese 5G manufacturer or supplier. Um, yeah, seriously. Because a lot of people don't know Samsung is not just in the regular cell phone market. Like, they're not just getting devices out there, they are also one of the big suppliers of the actual cell equipment that they use to, like, boost to put out the signals on those towers. In this case, 5G. And now Samsung is also heavily pushing forward with 6G. So this is not over by a mile. Um, it's going to be fun to actually see what this is going to be like over like the next year, because like 5G and Samsung's pushing like 6G heavily. It's filled a lot of voids and markets where other suppliers of 5G equipment have dropped off. So, yeah, Samsung is definitely going to come ahead of this. And the um, Galaxy Tab S8 line, specifically the Galaxy Tab um, S8 Ultra, wow. Um, it's really going to be the it's really going to be an interesting thing. Because there we go. So yeah, it really is going to be a thing. Um, and it's going to be a pretty sweet thing for Samsung because they're bona fide going to have the market here. They won't. They'll command the market over Apple. With this new Galaxy Tab S8, which will come out both in Wi-Fi and 5G models. What makes this so exciting is they're going to be coming out with like the usual like 8, 12, and 16 gigabyte memory, but also they'll be coming out all the way up to 512 gigabyte storage capacities. So this will be a really, really fresh, usable like tablet, and coming with like Android 12 and One UI 4.1 pre-installed will put it ahead of the pack. Add this to the fact that it's going to take full advantage of the same S Pen units that are being touted to being used with the C Fold, the C Flip, and the new S22 line, and you have a like seriously, it's measuring out at 14.6. This puts the 12.9-inch iPad Pro to shame, especially since Apple is crippling it by making sure iOS does not take advantage of the M1's full capabilities. Shame on you. But anyway, your loss, Samsung's gain. So Samsung is going to take full advantage of this, and with the usual S Pen Pro setup it did with the S7 tablet with a strong magnetic connector that doubles as wireless charging for the S Pen in the back of the tablet. This will totally make it a sweet deal. Add 5G capabilities, and I will tell you this thing will basically fly, and I literally mean fly. So yeah, Samsung is really pushing hard on this, and seeing that it's got a lot to benefit off of it. Like seriously, even if you go out and buy iPhones, you have to know this by now that Samsung is the number one supplier for 5G equipment to cell providers. So even if you're still buying the competitors, they're still making out like a bandit. Like their devices do not make up that bigger like slice of their sales division, which I think is why they can afford to be so daring as compared to other hardware manufacturers that need to be more delicate. And I think this is hurting Apple over the long run. I think Apple rolled the dice. It got good with iPhone sales. But I think Apple is down on its downswing right now. And the problem with that is this: Apple has been here before where Microsoft has had to save them. Oh, but Microsoft, I don't think will be coming to rescue that quickly because Microsoft has its own fish to fry. This doesn't even mention the fact that Google's new Chromebook introductions, including its 5G Chromebook, do a lot to sell Windows Home to the market, which I don't think Microsoft is going to sacrifice that just to save Apple. Um, so yeah, we are looking at probably a pretty serious um climb for Apple this year and next year, especially considering the early reviews of like previews of the S14, sorry, the iPhone 14 are not as stellar as people had hoped. I mean, you got a lot of fanboys jumping on here like it's a godsend, but the people who are actual like hardcore Apple users that aren't that impressed are saying, yeah, it's good, but it's not that good that I would necessarily jump from an iPhone 13 to an iPhone 14. And if you're not upgrading a generation, that says a lot. You know, it's like when like Samsung users hit the like Note 20 or and like they really didn't get the pizzazz between that and the Note 10. Or for example, even worse was the jump between the Note 9 to Note 10 because yeah, you got a lot of things including a promised upgrade to Android 12, but the hardware wasn't that impressive in comparison. So a lot of dedicated users like me were just like, I'll sit in the sidelines. And, I'm just looking at it now, like S22, C Fold, C Flip, we'll have to see. Now does this mean I'll be scrapping the iPad I've been using for taking notes in class? Probably not just yet. The Galaxy Tab S8 will definitely has to go a long way to impress me to get to there. But if I like go and get it from T-Mobile with 5G service, remember there's 5G like models out there, and I'm impressed by it, then that may be very well the case. In which case, sorry iPad, everything's got a time and a place. And this is like even on top of the fact that Samsung is pushing hard for 6G, which will push even further advancements over 5G. So it's like pushing, like selling its hardware, its equipment for 6G. So that gets out to cell providers as quickly as possible. But they're also like firm with Google as far as producing fuchsia, which, in case you don't know what fuchsia is, and the zircon kernel, you're gonna wanna like beef up on this information. So basically, a lot of problems with the Google devices that have been put out, specifically the main lines being Chrome OS and Android, have been like a lot of the bugs that come from the fact that they both use monolithic kernels, which are fine for a certain audience. But for daily end users of a certain type, they just like leave a person too open to like bugs and that and problems and difficulties because of the way kernel privileges work. A microkernel works much better in those situations. We see this on the iPhones, um, like some of the time. We also see this mainly on the desktop operating system, the microkernels that are used for like Windows and Mac OS, which really come from BSD. Um, I wish we would have done a lot more development on GNU Herd for this reason, which was another microkernel operating system, and React OS, which is a Windows binary compatible operating system with a microkernel that has no attachment to anything Unix or POSIX. So, and it contributes a huge amount of code to Wine. So there you go. Um, Great operating systems have great potential, but they haven't had the same love as Linux. What are you gonna do? But yeah, but Google is putting in for the Zircon kernel and Fuchsia. And if Google has its way, um, they're going to do this. And Samsung has already said they're committed to putting Fuchsia in the future on their devices and are working diligently to make sure that One UI functions on Fuchsia as it becomes available. And they have taken active roles in development of ARM code for the Fuchsia kernel, which I know for a lot of people, they hear ARM, they shut down technical jargon. But basically, what that means is that covers a lot of things, like, for example, proprietary Chromebooks that use ARM processors. But it covers a lot of the um, tablets and devices, like phones and like those Google Nest Hub devices and all that, they all function on ARM processors. They are much better suited for that application. And this is also going to affect Amazon over the long run. And people kid themselves like, I'm an Amazon user. Let me give you a clue here. Amazon still uses like Android at its base, and if Google moves to Fuchsia with Samsung backing it, Amazon's not going to wait. They're going to jump on board 500%. So this is also going to affect Amazon. So if you're not an Apple user, you may want to pay attention to this, because Fuchsia is the future of this if things go the way they're going and they continue to. And that's going to affect the new tablets and new phones going forward over the next couple of years. I don't know if he'll be present on this generation of devices, but I think if anything, since Google's already coming out with it on first gen Nest Hubs, I don't think going on uh like on a device put out now would be that far a leap. So I could seriously see Samsung and Amazon doing this. And it's going to be a serious threat to Apple's market. And the longer Apple wants to keep Rapunzel locked up in that tower away from the rest of the world, it's going to hurt Apple. It hurt IBM. It hurts everyone. Proprietary technology over the long run just closes out you and your customers and makes it harder on them. And that's where Apple's going, and it's not going to end well. But yeah, so what else can you say by that? But that. Um, so what else can we say? I think that's it for the Samsung for now. I think this will be an interesting thing to see going forward. Um, and I think Fuchsia's part in this will also be interesting. I think Apple is definitely going to be looking at an uphill climb more lately, and that's gonna it's not gonna be nice for Apple. Apple has been enjoying a pretty sheltered life in some ways. Um, its only market to contend with is the U.S. market. The world market is someplace it doesn't play in, and it doesn't have a big share of. Um, and it's had the luxury to do things that way for the longest time. But that overall could be changing, and it could be changing in a very serious way. So, yeah, Apple is going to have an interesting scenario to deal with here. So, yeah, down in the comments, let me know what you think. Like, hate me. Hate me. Go ahead. I dare you to. Push the dislike. Like, you think that's really going to do anything? I know there are those of you who are secretly like, yes. Go ahead, push it. See how what I care. Subscribe, you know, and stay tuned. There'll be more episodes for you to dislike. I mean, no such publicity is bad publicity, right?